Hey there, everybody. We've just finished moving a little bit more. We've pretty much burned through the pile that was down here in the woods. And I'm hoping that you can kind of see a little bit of the contrast from here. So, we're talking about paths in this video, and the current version of what we're doing is setting a pad of wood chips to be kind of our guiding path itself. And in here, I think if I come a little bit more this way, you might be able to see it a little bit more clearly against what's there. I'm not 100% sure that I'm actually going to generate enough compost this season to get all of these beds covered, so we'll be coming up with a way to determine what our most critical areas of need for compost are. And for now, they're likely to be more growing spaces uphill, and then we'll do another round of leaf collection and see how the rest of the season goes as far as gathering wood chips. I think this comes through a little bit more clearly, and you can kind of see where we're at. So when we're setting up paths in our food forests, and this first topic is going to be true whether it's a food forest that we're installing into an existing woods or woodlot, and it'll be also true for food forests that we are installing into grass lawns. And this consideration for paths is where we'd like the foot traffic to go and where the foot traffic will organically decide to go despite what we decide. And we've stopped in here because there is a very clear distinction between our main arterial path here and one of our side paths, right? And this side path has a parallel going by. So when folks who are up by where the wheelbarrow are look down, they're going to be able to see some of where we're standing. And the installations that we choose for the garden beds here and in this sight line, and to an extent in the sight line to the left of us here, will all determine how intrigued our visitor is up there, right? If we are hiding portions of the path, we're going to create this air of mystery and this sense of exploration and discovery. And I think that that's an important aspect of the psychological benefit of food forests writ large, is that feeling of mental stimulation and discovery as you find new and other things that are blooming or fruiting at the time that you visit it. That said, if our guest up by the wheelbarrow sees something down where we're standing and decides to come this way, unless I have a large impediment, generally impassable, in this space, and specifically to the left of this rock here, right? So if our guest is coming down the trail and they want to come to where we're standing, their natural inclination is not going to be to follow the paths, no matter how clear we've made the intention. There will always be the desire to cut through that little break in the trail. And so as designers, it's important for us to decide whether we're going to incorporate an impassable block in these areas to prevent the travel of people through the space, or are we going to lean into those paths and make other highlights as we go about. So that's the concept that we're working with, and I have one other note that we're going to talk about today, and then I'm going to ask you folks a question. So stick around. So currently we are over on the north side of the pond. If I turn this way, you can just barely make it out over there. And so what we are looking at is a small diversion path. The main path is over there. We have some high bush blueberries and the large berm, and then that little field clearing-ish gap in the woods where we have a whole bunch of rubus and strawberry and what I believe are lemon balm and probably a few or several hundred other things. And so that's not the point. The point is over here where we have this side path, and instead of putting in a hard barrier like dangerous rocks or thorny, prickly hedgerow, what we have here are minor blocks to the path, right? Small overhanging branches. They're not extra thorny, but what we are looking for is just that sense of walking through these branches and engaging that tactile feel of walking through a space as we're exploring, and bringing that extra sensory, and it's not really like ESP extra sensory, but an additional sensory input to our visitors so that we give them a full and true exploration journey. And I think that for those of us that are doing the work, these kinds of impediments can be a little bit annoying at times as we are working to build these systems. But if you are installing a food forest into your lawn, this is the kind of consideration that you can kind of plan in from the beginning. Whereas if we are installing it into an existing woodlot, it becomes a little bit more challenging to maneuver ourselves if we opt to leave those aspects in our system from the beginning. So I think that's a good place to wrap up. It's still not quite shady, but it's just about the point where I'll be able to move back up top and start potting up more cuttings. And so that's gonna do it for our episode today, the video. I was considering drawing out some ideas for you folks, not on the computer, on something that I'm a little bit more comfortable with, although I will not claim to be an artist in the graphic arts by any means. But would you folks enjoy having a video that talks about how we consider the existing plants and how the successional strategies of the plants that we are installing will more align? Can be things like the pawpaws, or it can be things like minor species, shrubs, herbaceous perennials, ground covers, tubers and things, or any of the vining layers. If that sort of thing sounds interesting to you, I hope that you'll drop us a line, give us some ideas of particular aspects that you think might interest you. And if you're just not sure, then I hope you'll take a look at that video then it comes out and go from there. But till then, thanks for watching. Happy planning.